Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Broyans Farm. I apologize, for some reason my camera was not recording any audio, so this whole video has absolutely no sound, but I'm going to talk you through everything and explain how we do everything. Now, what I just showed you was a load my mom's about to take out to the market. She's also washing some onions off here. She's going to take them out as well. Then out here in the pickle patch, Sammy, myself, and Frank are working on getting the pickles and cucumbers done. I was actually a little bit late to the party. They've already done one row of pickles and they're working back up the second row. So I figured I'll just start on cucumbers. That's kind of ideal size right there. That was a little bit on the smaller side, but not too bad. We pick all these vine crops every other day, just so it gives them a little bit of time to get bigger. But any longer than that, you'll have huge lunker cucumbers and pickles to the size where people don't really want them. And so that one is a little bit odd shaped, but it's going to be just fine. And like I said, keep in mind, I'm actually talking in the video that you cannot hear. So things I'm explaining, I don't really remember what I was saying at that point in time. So just please, like I said, bear with me. You may notice some of the leaves are a little bit white and have holes in them. That was from cucumber beetles we had about 2 weeks ago. If you've seen my earlier videos, we've got them taken care of since then. They're coming out of it, and they're doing very well. Every cucumber isn't just the right size and perfectly straight. Some are curvy, have little spots on them, but we still take them to market. If they don't sell right away, we'll knock them down to what we call number twos, or we'll just sell them a little bit cheaper. That way they get sold and we don't take them back home with us. They're pretty loaded right now. I could sit in one spot and probably pick around 5 to 6 cucumbers. And when picking them, you don't just want to yank them off the vine. You kind of want to take your thumb, or that's the way I like to do it, and just pop that stem right off. If you yank and pull, what'll happen is you'll pull that stem out from its main root, and you'll not only kill that part of it, but you could also kill the whole plant. It's clips like this in the video where I usually wouldn't talk. I would just, have you enjoy just watching me harvest some nice cucumbers, but with there not being any sound, that'd be kind of pointless, so I'm just gonna talk over myself. Everything of a smaller size that goes through our washers, like onions, potatoes, red beets, pickles, cucumbers, gets put into a black 5/8 basket, which you can see here. Then after it gets washed, it'll get put into a red half bushel basket, a bushel wooden crate that you've seen us put stuff into, or a half bushel box. And how we determine what it goes into is the weight, how much we have of it, or where it's going. You also might notice that I'm wearing Crocs. I wear Crocs almost 100% of the time on the farm. To me, they're the ultimate shoe. Obviously not for safety, but when it comes to all the wet locations I'm in, they're just the best thing ever. If anything goes wrong, if I get wet, I can just take my socks off, whatever, but I never, ever wear my Crocs without socks. I figured I'd come down and see how Sammy and Frank were making out. They said the pickles were loaded, and I could tell by how many baskets they were getting. They were having a good time though, cracking jokes. You can see all the pickles in here. There's 1, 2, 3. There's a fourth one I see. I think I counted like 6 here, maybe even 10, just in this little spot altogether. And they're like perfect size, not too big, not too small. You can also notice that Frank's hands are yellow. I don't really know how they got that way. Nothing was really yellow that he touched, but it was pretty interesting. Once everything's harvested, we have to go through and pick it up out of the field. For some reason, Sammy wanted to get her workout in, and she insisted that she picks them up. So I decided to drive, Frank loaded, and we were gonna head on through. We put all the cucumbers in the back, all that we could fit in the back of the Kubota. Then the rest we put on the wagon. You can see Daisy off to the side there looking for mice. And so we'll just go down through and pick them all up. Look how happy she is. I really don't know how heavy these baskets are. I'm kind of just guessing, but I would say around 20 to 25 pounds. Definitely not over that. But I can tell you one thing, for how small Sammy is, she can lift quite a bit. We're back to the shed. I think we got around 15 cukes and 13 pickles. That might be the other way around, I'm not exactly sure, but I know it was 28 baskets altogether. Then we'll start loading them into the washer. Cucumbers are fairly easy. Well, nothing's really hard, but all you do is just make sure you put them on the belt nice and flat. That way when they go through the washer, they're not crooked and they go straight on through. You want them to roll around a little bit and get washed off good. That way, when they get to market, they're not muddy. This is just a close-up. We have the nice, fresh, clean, cold water blowing on them. Then the rollers, kind of give them a little bit of a brush, get any kind of harder debris off, And by the time it goes through about, I think, 15 to 20 rollers, it comes out onto a sponge, which you'll see right up here, dries them off a little bit, and that's where Frank or whoever is on the receiving end will pack them in whatever they need to go in, and then they'll go into the cooler. Those yellow rollers are the sponges. This is where they come out of. Now we're moving on to the pickling cucumbers. Now the round table here is a little bit fuller than it probably should be, but Sammi had to put them through at a pretty high rate of speed because the rollers that actually brush the dirt off are a little bit loose, and the smaller pickles will fall down through and then they're no good. So she puts them through faster, that way it keeps them moving, nothing falls through, but just then they accumulate on the round table and get a little bit overloaded, but that just makes me and Frank work a little bit harder, and that's no big deal. Frank and I's job isn't just to put them in a box or pack them in whatever, we have to size them. In this case, we're doing 3 different sizes, a small, medium, large. Sometimes we'll do 4 sizes, and if we're really feeling crazy, we'll do 5 sizes, which is pretty rare. It's a lot easier just to do 3, and then we'll size them again when we get to market. We're obviously not perfect. We sometimes screw up, like we'll put the small one in a medium, or a medium in a big, or a big, not usually in the small. That doesn't usually happen. But we're just working as fast as we can to get them emptied off that round table so it doesn't get too overloaded, because then what happens is the belt starts to slip, and we don't want to ruin a belt or anything like that. Now that that stuff is packed away in the cooler, we came down to the onion field. As you can see, we grow an absolute ton. We grow around 20,000. We grow red, white, and yellow. The red and the yellow really aren't ready yet, so we're gonna focus on the white, which is better anyway because it always seems like the white start to rot first before anything else. You can see all the onions basically have a big, nice green top on them. That means the onion is still growing, but like I said, we need some for market, so we're just gonna pick a couple, not gonna go through and clean the whole field. And another thing we do early on in the season is what Sammi's holding right there. We'll cut this top off like 6-8 inches long and cut the roots off, and then we'll take it back and wash it, which I'll show you here in a little bit. Doing that just keeps the onions looking nice and fresh, and it seems like the customers like to see that, which makes them want to buy more. So if that's what it takes, then that's what we're gonna do. I try and be as careful as possible. We obviously don't want any accidents. We don't need anybody going to the hospital for, karate chopping their leg. But I've been doing this for quite a while. I've kind of got the knack for it. You got to put quite a bit of effort into that first initial cut, because if you don't, it's going to make the tops look all choppy and look unprofessional. I'm not really sure if unprofessional is the word for that, but that's what I'm going to go with. Here's a video of me doing it in slow-mo. Enjoy. We ended up getting 4 baskets in total, a couple yellow, but basically all white. Pretty nice size, not huge, but they're getting there. Now he came up before a storm hits to try and get some Hungarian hot wax, or also known as banana peppers, for the first pepper harvest of the season. There's probably about 1 pepper on each plant, but those peppers are nice, as you can see right here in the basket. So we figured we'll just get 1, and that's all we're gonna try and get for today. Now that it's starting to rain, we decided to move our tub washing station inside of the shed, or just on the edge of the shed actually, so we can start washing these onions. Like I said, this is kind of a slower process, but this is what has to be done. If for some reason a layer has to come off, we'll take that outside layer off, but in the end, we wanted to have a nice, shiny, beautiful onion. Here's a close-up. Sammi's on the right, I'm on the left. I prefer not to take any more layers off than I have to, but sometimes that's just what makes the difference between the onion looking okay and then or very nice. So this one right here, for example, I can kind of just take that outside layer off with my hand, but Sammi on the right has to start at the very top with one of those green leaves. I think you call the onion tops a leaf. I don't know what that's actually considered. And then she'll peel the whole thing all the way down to where the root was. It's the next morning now. We're starting to load for Scranton Market. And I did want to apologize. I did tell you guys in my last video that we were going to be planting our cabbage, but with all this rain, we couldn't get in the field, so we had to put that on hold. What I'm working on now is loading a pallet full of tomatoes, red beets, and onions. Then I'll wrap it with shrink wrap and I'll throw it on the truck. Putting everything on a pallet and then moving it with a pallet jack makes life so much easier. Once the pallet gets packed and wrapped, I'll pull onto the lift gate, where I'll lift it up in the truck, haul it all the way to the front, and keep doing that process until I get the whole truck filled all the way to the back or run out of produce. It's a beautiful morning out here in the field. The whole family's out there with the Kubota. Daisy's looking for mice. There's fog on the mountain. And well, that's just a beautiful picture with the farm and the silo. The first thing I'm going to start to pick is purple cauliflower. It's very, very wet. So I have rain pants on and well, still my Crocs. Again, I have to be careful with the knife so I don't cut myself, but we have to cut the top down or nobody's going to be able to see what's underneath all those leaves. And if I don't cut the bottom of the cauliflower short enough, we won't get it in our trays and it won't be stackable. So everything has to be just right. There's actually a couple different colors of cauliflower. There's obviously the normal white. I know there's an orange, which we do not grow, in the purple. For us though, the purple has become more and more popular, especially because nobody's seen it and it holds its color even after it's cooked. I'll throw it to Mom. Mom throws it to Sydney, which is my brother's wife. She'll throw it to Frank, which is just one of our workers who's been with us for a couple years and is just awesome. Right next to the cauliflower is the cabbage. These heads aren't enormous, but they are just a very nice size. Again, I cut that a little bit too long, so I have to recut the bottom. Usually take a leaf or two off of the outside, and then we'll pack them in crates. Later in the fall, we'll actually pick bins of cabbage, but it's just not real popular right now. A lot of people say it's too hot to make piggies and stuff like that, so this is all we need. After the cold crops are done, we move into sweet corn. This is actually our first, I would say technically, big harvest of the season. The sweet corn is really nice. We've been picking it for a couple days, but it wasn't quite ready, so we couldn't rip and tear, as we like to say, which is just going down the route and picking almost every single ear. But now it's getting real close, as you can see here. Not every single ear is ready, but almost every single one. The way we tell if they're ready is by feeling the tip. It kind of seems weird, but once you pick thousands and thousands of ears, you get the hang of it, and it's very simple to tell what it's supposed to feel like. If it's pretty hard and not a blunt end on it, it usually means it needs to go a couple more days. If it's kind of loose, at least the way I feel it, then I kind of know it's ready to go and we can throw it in the bin. I don't know exactly how many ears are here, a little over 1,000. I don't think there's 2,000 there, but if we had more time, we would definitely get more. We can sell it, but market's starting soon and we got to get going. And of course, Daisy cannot leave the field without her ear of sweet corn. Some days she likes to eat 3 to 5 ears, and if we don't give them to her, she'll just go out in the field and rip them off herself. And if she's feeling real hungry, she'll actually eat the whole cob. We've been doing this same process ever since I can remember. It's always wake up, load truck, then go out, pick the cold crops, then move into sweet corn, load the sweet corn on, and by that time, it's usually time for market. We got a really nice load, a ton of really nice cauliflower. We have beans, kale, cauliflower, kohlrabi, cabbage, and much more, which is all packed in those boxes. Dad decided to go to market today. I stayed home to help pick more produce for the next market day. But before I do that, my cousin gave me a balloon, well actually 2 balloons, and these are specifically made to keep crows and other birds out of, well, wherever you want to keep them out of, but in my case, it's going to be our cantaloupe and watermelon patch. And right here's the finished product. Piece of conduit bent to a 90, the ball swings around, has reflective tape on it. Anything that catches a bird's eye and flutters like that makes them nervous. They don't like to sit in one place for too long, and they get out of the area. This right here is the reason why I'm doing that. This was probably done by a crow about 2 or 3 days ago. Now that watermelon that had a lot of potential is completely ruined and garbage. While I was setting that up, Frank and Sydney were working on beans. We grow 3 different varieties: yellow wax beans, Italian flat beans, and just your regular green beans. Just today, we only needed green and flat, so they got 2 baskets of the green. Now I came to help them on the flat. We're actually gonna get 4 baskets altogether. These are loaded, almost can clean the whole bush. There is still a couple new ones coming on, but we have picked over these once or twice now, so we've definitely got our money's worth out of these beans. We got that done and moved on to Lebanese squash and zucchini. Sydney is actually going to be my box holder for right now. Frank's working on red beets. I don't really like doing these because the leaves are so picky, and especially when it's 90 degrees, humid, hot, sunny, and you reach your arms in there, they get all scratched up and then you get extremely itchy. But this is what I'm looking for right here. That's a Lebanese squash, or also known as Gouda. The Lebanese will hollow them out and stuff them with lamb and rice. Never actually had it, but I am told that they are like a more tender, sweeter zucchini. The yellow were very nice today. They were all about perfect size. We didn't have any that were like clubs, and then we also didn't pick any that were too small. It's so much nicer picking when everything is the right size. That's why, like I said before, if we can get in every 2 days for this kind of stuff, makes life so much easier. Now this one here was definitely missed last time. This thing is an absolute club. But some people like them. They like to make zucchini bread and stuff out of them. So, well, whatever floats your boat. I recorded probably 50 to 60 clips throughout today. Not one of them had audio. They all obviously had picture, because that's what I'm showing you. For some reason though, the last clip of the day, Sydney picked up my camera for the first time and it recorded audio, so enjoy this.
So you have to say, now this is Logan's
So we're here in the field today, planting strawberries.
This is what working all week does to you.
Yeah, the cabbage didn't do very well, so we are planting them back in, but I would say out of the 2,000 that we planted, about 400 grew.
So that's the good side.
1,600 back in with the
And
extra AC dolly that we have.
these are the ones we're replanting.
Huh? Oh.